Well, good evening, everybody. It's the Cryptid Huntress. I'm Jessica Jones. Thank you guys so much for being here tonight. Boy, we've got a weird remote viewing target tonight. It's really kind of spooky, actually. We're going to be talking about a cursed object tonight. And gosh, I don't know what these guys were thinking, taking this thing home from a cave. Okay. So Barry Littleton tasked me with a really interesting target. It's called the Crone of the Catskills. That's the name that this thing has been given. I had never heard of this thing before. I've heard of it now, and it's pretty wild. I've got a lot of really interesting remote viewing data on this one. I think it kind of blew Barry's mind, actually. And it blew mine too when he told me what the target was. So you guys are in for a treat tonight, especially if you're into haunted objects and scary stuff. Let this be a word of caution for you guys. Like, this whole show is going to be like, a disclaimer, like, okay, don't take cursed objects home. Okay, just don't. But anyways, you guys, this is, like I said, it's going to be a fantastic show. If you would like to see all of my remote viewing data, it is on my Patreon. Please become a member of my Patreon if you guys would like to follow along with all this data tonight. That's the Cryptid Huntress on Patreon. There's a link right there. And I want to give a huge shout out to all of my Patreon members. You guys are the best. I really do appreciate each and every one of y'all. Okay, well, y'all know I'm getting ready to go to the Molina Bigfoot Festival this weekend. And tomorrow night, I will be speaking at their local library. I'm giving a presentation tomorrow night, a pretty good one, actually. I'm excited about it. Tomorrow night, I think that starts at 5:30 Eastern down in Zebulon, Georgia. So it will be a great time. You guys come down and see me. You can find all the information on my website. That's thecryptidhuntress.com. I think that I've got a flyer for tomorrow night's event. Yeah, the address is on there. You can find this on my social media if you guys are interested in going, or just shoot me a message. And I hope to see you guys there. And of course, on Saturday, we've got the Molina Bigfoot Festival. I hope the weather's going to be beautiful on Saturday. Let's cross our fingers that it'll be nice out there, but it's going to be a wonderful event. And I cannot wait. Okay, so why don't we get this show going? Because I've got a lot to talk about. This is something that Barry and I have not discussed at all previous to the show. We both hopped on about 5 minutes before showtime, and we have not discussed hardly any of this yet. So you guys are going to be watching this brand new live and direct here as Barry and I are doing this for the very first time. Okay, so let's do it. Let's talk about what this is. In January of 2016, a post on Reddit told the story of a man and his friend finding a small statue in a cave in the Catskill Mountains in New York. They were hiking and exploring caves when they came across this effigy. Okay, I'm going to show y'all pictures of it. It's on the thumbnail. It's creepy. I wouldn't have touched it. But they did something that is often warned against when it comes to strange, out-of-place objects. They took it home. The strange effigy has been blamed for frightening manifestations, mysterious injuries, and all sorts of supernatural horrors. The statue has nails jammed into its eyes and its head, and it has a noose tied around its neck. Why would you take that home? I was wondering. The producers of Hellier, all right, y'all may not know this, but I've actually remote viewed Hellier a long time ago, or when that show first came out. My friend Bryce gave me a blind coordinate remote viewing target, and we did a show on it on her channel, Esoteric Atlanta. But the producers of Hellier, Greg and Dana Newkirk, created a documentary on the statue. It's called The Unbinding. You guys might have seen it. I think it's on Amazon Prime or Netflix. Okay, they experienced several inexplicable happenings associated with the crone. They're quoted as saying, when there were things that looked like wet footprints showing up in the back of the couch, or we were hearing strange noises, or Dana has this horrifying encounter with something that looks like it's slinking out of the closet at night, that's hard to ignore. And that is exactly what this statue did. So, of course, Barry gave that to me as a blind remote viewing target. And I have fantastic data on this. I really do. It's really weird. But what is this thing? Where did it come from? What's the story behind it? Why is it so haunted? You're going to find out tonight because we got some really good data. And to help me discuss this tonight, I do have Barry Littleton here in the studio. Barry is a fantastic researcher. He's a good friend of mine. He has a wonderful YouTube channel. You guys go watch it. He's got live videos now, usually on the weekends, and a Patreon. It's all Barry Littleton. Y'all look him up, and please help me welcome to the show my friend Barry Littleton. Hey, Barry.
Hey, what's up, Jessica? I'll tell you, this is one of those deals where it's a relatively. I struggled with this for a long time to send you this target because it's somewhat dark, and as I was told, I don't really care for the dark stuff. I know the strategies they use. I know how to defend myself, but I just don't care to really delve on it. But this one seemed kind of hot. And the first thing, that I wanted to know with this, and by the way, hello to everybody in the audience. Your audience is the best. I mean, I've worked with a lot of them now. It still keeps coming. And thank you to all of you. And much respect to everybody in your audience. And thank you for never throwing onions at me like it's the damn night at the Apollo. Anyway, but seriously, I wanted to know, first thing is that this object, how I come to hear about it, was through the Haunted Objects Museum. And it's normally used to be the traveling museum that's owned by, oh gosh, what's the name? Greg
Greg
Newkirk.
And Dana.
Dana's last name is Matthews.
Okay,
I assume they're together though. I mean, I don't know. But that's when I first came associated with them, I heard them doing an interview with Art Bell. It was a long time ago. And something always caught me is their objects, and something I've heard several times. And last night I did a show with our good friend, Dr. Dennis Carroll. That's always cool, man. I got a great deal of respect for Dennis, and I like it because he goes into the dark stuff a lot deeper. So people like me don't have to. Anyways, not just kidding. But something that I think was very interesting is that two things that caught my attention about that museum. The first thing was on Art Bell, they had talked about the objects that they would not put out for display. And at that time, the main one that Greg guy talked about, they both did, was the dark mirror. That used to be owned by P.T. Barnum, and it was one of his sideshow objects. But they said that thing is so haunted, even more than the average scrying mirror. And Dennis was saying last night how there's certain rituals that were done to actually trap entities within mirrors, besides them just being portals. And I agree with that. And like for example, I had a deal scrying. We'll talk about that maybe later. Scrying with a mirror that made me not do scrying anymore, and involves scrying with over a light stream that's running the water over a mirror, and a mirror that's one you've constructed a frame over, so it puts your energy into it, and then you do gazing techniques into it while you're over the stream, looking into it, where it's anchored into the ground, and stuff like that. Jessica, we talk about portals a lot on your show. And when dealing with water and shining things, shining also is always a way to get a portal. But when you get shining on a water, it is like a knock on the door, especially the technique I just described. It's like a knock on the door to these beings that are called the beings that live within the levels of fluidity. And fluidity is also a way to describe certain levels of consciousness. So anyway, so those beings will come to, like, from what happened to me, a being comes in the mirror, then they come through, and then what happens, they can't get back, they start following you around. Prepare for stuff like that. Anyway, sorry, but I want to really go into the data, because again, I was apparently biting an apple that I was more than I wanted to take. I was hoping, point being this, okay, so I'll shut up after this. So many things in their in their collection I've been told are like fakes and stuff like that. Dennis, I think, even mentioned that too. But more than that, them themselves, Denise and Greg, they say that 90% of the shit that 90% of the stuff they get sent to, 90% of the stuff they get sent to them is actually not active and they don't get anything off of it. But the few objects like this Crone piece that they didn't find, but they put it back and unbinded it, is a different deal. But the dark mirror, I've heard even more about that one. So anyway, I'll shut up from there because I think the data you got is killer and I don't want to get in the way.
Oh my gosh. Well, before we get into the data, let's talk about what this is and the story behind it. Okay. Because it's really weird and really strange. And I don't understand why these guys would ever put this object, even pick it up or touch it, and then take it home with them, unless they're just not very smart. No shade. If those guys are watching, no shade. Okay. But I'm just saying that's not very smart. Okay. Even to like people who don't know anything about voodoo or any kind of witchcraft, I would feel like your instincts would really have to be off like touching this thing, especially in a cave, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. You know,
right?
To a point to where I even asked Dennis yesterday, I said, what does he know of nails in the eyes, you know, as far as ritual goes for dark magic? And I know it connects to something they call like ocular philiac. That is the same reason that they have dolls' eyes rolling in their eyes too, moving eyes and dolls. It's similar to that. And Dennis even took it a little deeper and said it describes actually containing and trapping a spirit. So I think that goes into your data. Pretty interesting.
It does. I mean, just for the pure fact, like, it's got a noose around its neck. I mean, come on.
Jessica,
like,
you know that they were trying to 3D print that thing?
Yes.
Somebody was?
That's
the stupidest thing. What the heck?
Some people are gluttons for punishment. Okay. That's what this is. Well, you know, okay. Well, you can look at it from different angles. Okay. And we'll get into the 3D printing stuff in a little bit because I wanted to talk about that. I was definitely going to bring that up tonight because it was not enough. Like this thing was so haunted. Okay. When people, those guys brought it home. Okay, their house started getting super haunted. Footsteps, bumps, studs. This thing was moving all over the house. It was going from room to room, and then they got in touch, or somehow the Newkirks and the two people that own that museum, they got their hands on this statue. They took it to their museum. Well, they took it to their house. And it started doing the same things there. And it was really dark. And it got to where they were seeing shadow figures and they were having wet footprints, muddy footprints in the house. At both places, everywhere this thing goes, it smells like dirty pond water, they said. It's almost kind of demonic. So it's not a good feeling. It's not a good thing. They actually have a video of it moving. Okay. Like I do have still screenshots of that where I didn't show. I'm not going to show the video, of course, but this is from some of the still shots where this thing actually was moving. You can watch it. Just not something that I would want in my house. I wouldn't want to touch it. It has nails nailed into his eyes, into his head, and a noose around his neck. Okay. Now this picture right here that I showed earlier, I do believe this is where it was found. Now I'm not sure if this is when they found it or if this is after they took it back and put it back where they found it. I think that may be the case. That's probably when they took it back.
After they unbinded it, yeah.
Yes.
And you know, I watched a couple of interviews with them, and they had a very hard time locating what cave it might possibly be. And I still don't know if that is for sure the cave, but they were just trying to get it back to where they thought it was trying to get to.
Well, I would gladly take that back. Now, this reminds me a lot of like the Bell Witch Cave in Tennessee. You know, you just take anything out of that cave and you leave with it, and it's cursed. Like you become cursed. They say that a lot of times people will do it just for the thrill of it. Like take something and be like, oh, this won't affect me. But then they end up losing their job, their house, something burns, somebody dies. Horrible things happen. And they say they get these like rocks that are shipped back in like the mail to them for people that have been there, apologizing for taking a rock. and they're like, my life was ruined. My life was completely ruined after I took this. So, you know, you got to be careful about this. And Kent Baxter, thank you so much for that super sticker. Best cryptid show out there. It's Jessica Jones. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. That's sweet. Wow. Yeah. Well, tonight we're doing a haunted show. This is
yeah.
I don't know, are demons, can demons be cryptids?
I gotta agree with you too. I'm sorry. I hate to say this. I don't care if they're listed or not. You got to be an absolute damn fool to take that thing out of that cave. When the other person's telling you, "Hey, there's satanic cults around here. Well, hey, let's take the object back to our house." Come on, that's ridiculous. And you know, when dealing with certain types of magic, especially from the ancients, that are things that, you know, Dennis, I discussed this too. They're actually putting negativity and actually trapping negative inorganic beings with consciousness in some objects, such as crystals, boxes, and other contraptions that will actually hold them. And then they start feeding them with negative emotions. That's what those ancient, quote unquote, shamans, sorcerers, that's what they were doing. They were horrifying people. And when you start dealing with something like this, and the nails in the eyes, the noose, it's quite similar. And I think what, you know, when we go into the data will be, what is it they're trying to trap? They were trying to trap. If what Dennis says is correct, that's why the nails are in the eyes. Yeah.
Well, to me, this looks like a voodoo doll. Okay. Like the first thing I thought when I saw this, when you posted this on Facebook last night, I thought voodoo doll, and I just thought about it binding up a person, it being used as like some sort of an effigy of a person, and somebody really didn't like somebody, okay, and so they started nailing their eyes shut and nails in their head and giving them a lot of migraines, and I don't know what they're doing.
I'll say it again. From my knowledge, that the nails in the eyes connects to the ocular philiac connection, the rolling of the eyes, and how that actually gives, not just, Dennison mentioned that it traps the soul, but I think it also gives those who hold the object connection to their brain as well. I think there's a brain connection going on there with that whole deal, and some type of almost a neural type of deal. I think it's very dangerous.
Well, that would be the intention, I guess, behind it. But I mean, now, Barry, what do you think? Like, if you don't buy into all this stuff, okay, like you're like, I don't believe in this voodoo stuff. I mean, if you believe in it, then it could affect you, right? But I mean, could it affect you even if you don't believe in it and you're not aware this is happening to you, or somebody's doing this kind of stuff to you?
Absolutely. You know, for example, like when you start dealing with creos, and especially things of that nature with melanin dominant, you start dealing with root throwers, you know, and what that's they were called back then. And something was done like that to my grandmother. And for an example, we had to actually, often you won't burn such things that are given from someone like that, someone that curses somebody. In this case, it was a scarf, and there was nothing to do. It had to actually be burned. And when it was burned, you could, people that were not even aware of stuff like this thought they saw things coming out of this, flying and going. So people to keep themselves protected, because these things are part of this earth matrix, and they are the beings that have consciousness and awareness without organism. They're very dangerous to us. There are different classifications of them. Thus, we call them inorganic beings.
Okay. Well, thank you for that answer there, because I mean, I've heard that before too, and but there's so many people out in the world that don't know a whole lot about this. I mean, I just feel like, I don't know if I'm just more aware of it now, but it seems like there's so many more people that are openly bragging about throwing witchcraft spells on people these days and stuff, and it just blows my mind. I'm like, why is it cool to do that now? Like, be a witch now? I don't know. It's just my observation.
People should be very careful, because when really dealing with these forces, there comes some point that you have to give verbal consent. And once you do that, you're in a lot of trouble for probably your lifetime. You know, people need to be very aware of that. And we do things and mess with things, and people mess with, you know, not just Ouija boards, but it goes a level different. You know, I was trying to help somebody recently, and this potential client starts telling me all this blood sacrifice they were doing on somebody else that they loved that left them. Sorry.
Yeah.
Not gonna go, you know, you find somebody else for the services. I'm just not gonna put myself through that. And somebody that's gonna subject themselves to that and actually release that much of their free will to that. Sorry, that's beyond what I want to try to work with. Just my personal preference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I put it like this. I pick my battles wisely. Try to.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think when it comes down to like spell work and stuff, like that's you playing God. Okay. Trying to play God in people's lives. And I don't know, you know, unless you're going to do a spell that's like going to help your life and enhance, you know, yourself and like help you in some way and raise your vibrational frequency or whatever. I just don't understand it. Okay. Personally, but I understand the psychology behind it, but I just don't. I couldn't do that kind of stuff personally because it takes away the will of other people. Do you know what I mean? That's like not what we're here to do, but I digress.
No, I really think you're on point.
Yeah. Right. It's like a control thing, in my opinion. Okay. I'm just saying. Narcissism.
It's never nothing positive. It's never the positive. People promoting the positive.
Yeah.
The same thing goes with the entertainment industry. It's so negative. Everything is demon, satanic, this and that, because that's kind of what rules down here. You know, like for example, if I say something like this right now, everybody's aware of what halos are from Dr. Emoto and how that affects water. Not reproducible scientifically too much, but is a reality there because it's dealing with consciousness. Why not program your water and realize that water operates a lot like currency, and currency is our money system as well. Our money is currency. So if you're going to program water, why not program it to accumulate currency for you?
Yes.
These are food for thought. I'm giving people right now just food for thought. And if it doesn't work, who cares? Give it a shot. If you don't play, you can't win.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, totally. Use it all to your advantage, but do it for good. Do it for good for yourself. Okay. Don't try to harm other people and take control of their lives. It's just not put those freezer spells and weird stuff like that. That's weird. Okay. That's just my opinion. All right. I know people that do that kind of stuff and they've bragged about it. And I'm just like, okay, do you then, whatever. But I just side eye. Okay. Are you ready? Let's get into this a little bit. Okay. I know that I have pictures too of like other dolls that are haunted, like things that are haunted. We can talk about that after I get done with the data tonight, if you want. Those things freak me out, like Annabelle and what is it, Robert and stuff. Okay, let me give a brief history of the timeline of what happened with this statue. Okay, this is just a quick rundown. Okay. So after the guys, the man, whoever the brave guy was that put it in his backpack or put it in his back pocket and took it home, said that there were strange bumps, thuds, noises at night, felt like he was being watched, shadowy apparitions, stale water smells. The statue moved around the house. Wet, muddy footprints were around the house. His dog kept urinating in his house, which was not normal, and his dog was terrified. There were certain places where the dog wouldn't go in the house anymore, and sometimes the dog would not go in the house at all. He didn't want to be there. Eventually, they saw a dark figure crouching in the corner of the room that they called it sounded like an old crone. Now, for people who don't know what a crone is, I think I pulled up a picture of it's like an old witch. Okay, like a crone would be like a witch or something. That's kind of like a crone. Okay, an old hag, right, Barry? Okay, so that's how it got its name, because they said it looked like it was a crone like a shadowy crone in the room.
I got to throw in one of my corny jokes, Jones. Okay. Did you ever play Old Maid, the card game?
Yes.
Like Old Maid? Sorry.
I did. It's the Old Maid, old crone. Okay, well, I guess they posted this on Reddit about it. They were on Reddit. A trusted news source, just like TikTok, my favorite. But they posted it on there, and it got the attention of a lot of like paranormals, like a paranormal subreddit. And Greg Newkirk, Dana Matthews saw it. Okay, they acquired it for their museum. Their furniture started getting knocked over, and they blamed it on the statue. Furniture was knocked over, and a crucifix was knocked off the wall, tearing out the nails in the out of the wall, and the arms were torn off the body. Okay, so there's a picture of it. The arm was torn off. They said that the nails had been torn out of the wall, and the nails were gone. They never did find the nails. Okay, the museum began to smell like a dirty pond water. Anybody who touched it or looked at the statue the wrong way got sick, much like the Robert the doll. Okay, that doll did the very similar damage back in the day. Okay, now when somebody touched it, there's one guy who touched it. He had seizures, and other people that would touch it, their skin would burn. They would get welts on their skin, and so they had to create a no touching rule. Eventually, the museum did not want it anymore. Understandably, they covered it, put it in a pillowcase, and they put it away till they could take it back. And eventually they took this thing back in 2018, but not before those guys made a 3D version of it. Go ahead.
Hey, the reason why they want to get rid of it, when that Jesus had fell and the nails, when Greg was looking for the nails, the TV almost slid off onto his head and killed him.
What?
And he felt that not just the statue removed the crucifixion, the crucifixion from the wall, but also was trying to kill him by sliding that huge TV on his head. It would have killed him. So that's just something. That's when they decided to never display it and probably get rid of it, or started working to that anyway. So just want to throw that in there. I didn't want to interrupt you. I'm sorry. You're doing a great job.
Oh my gosh. Well, I just wanted to point out this message, or this comment real quick from Head Trip, talking about, I know a witch that captures spirits and demons in bottles and items and sells them for big money. People know what they're buying, and it's sick and evil. Well, guess what? My good friend, the badass monster hunter, Matthew Delph, I'm going to be seeing him tomorrow, and guess what he has, Barry?
Vampires in bottles, right?
Yep. Yep.
I did a video about that. It's so
Yeah.
interesting because what did vampires used to do? How did they really commute a lot of times, especially from the grave into human form?
In a
They
mist.
turned into mist. Yes. So these cats were learning how to trap them in mist form in bottles. That's absolutely fascinating. Much props to Matthew. I like him a lot. I think you two will have a killer conference.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as long as he doesn't bring that bottle around when we go Bigfooting, I'm cool. Like, keep your bottles at home, you weirdo. I'm just kidding. I love Matt. Shout out to Matt. I'll see you tomorrow and Saturday. We're going to be hanging out for 2 days straight coming up this weekend. So he's also got that video. I think he's probably going to show it of the orbit turns into aliens. He always shows it now. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man. Oh,
Yeah.
we won't forget that.
Man, maybe I can take a video of the video. I'll bring it back.
Man, I mean, I'm serious. That's one thing just you won't forget when you see it.
Yeah.
You'll never forget it, you know?
Okay.
It hits you the same way Patty does. It's that, don't you think? It's about that good. Yeah, yeah.
For sure. Okay, let's get back to this demonic statue here for a second. Okay, so eventually the museum didn't want it anymore. They put it in a pillowcase. They took it back. But those guys made a 3D print of it so that they could try to recreate, I guess, the demonic possession of the statue. But I think that was just, it is an interesting experiment, though. You know what I mean, Barry? Like, I wouldn't do it, but it's interesting because it's like, well, is whatever's attached to that, is it going to jump to the 3D printed version too, or is it going to stay with that one object? Well, I think that they found out that it became haunted. The 3D object became haunted too, according to what they said. So, but anyways, that's kind of the timeline of events. That's kind of what happened. Let's get into the data. Okay, let's get into this data because you gave me this really interesting target.
It's very interesting data. Very interesting. This is going to be interesting and I guess kind of fun. I guess.
Fun. Oh my God, it's kind of fun.
Interesting. Let's call it interesting. Like
Yeah.
Mrs. Spock.
Right. All right. We're going to see if there's some Cool. Okay, I was looking at the comments. All right, I'll get to the comments after I get done. Okay. Thank you guys so much for being here in the chat too, by the way. Yeah, I appreciate all the y'all have great comments tonight. I mean, you always do every single show. Okay, so this is wild because this entire target. Okay, so you asked me last night, what do you think this is? And what did I say? Do you remember?
Yeah. Let's see. Some sort of creature being captured and then set free. And then you had evil on there a few times. And you had battle between evil and light, I think. And you had said something similar to like that, a creature being contained and evil. You kind of immediately, that's what you kind of lean towards. Unless I'm mistaken. I was thinking, because I had all sorts of stuff going through my head, so I apologize. I mean, just because it's negative, dark stuff. You're like, oh.
I know. I was, well, okay, so when I was doing it, I started feeling like I was getting poked and prodded too. I didn't mention that part. I felt like I was getting stabbed. So that would kind of line up with a voodoo doll. Like in my chest. My chest started hurting. Like I was like sharp pains in my abdomen and in my chest. And I was like, oh, I feel like I was, and once I found out what this was, I was like, well, maybe it took me a while. I had to marinate on it. Okay. I was like, well, maybe I was experiencing like somebody poking, like maybe like there's nails or something. I don't know. But I was feeling that when I was doing the target. And I told my mom that. I was like, Mom, I'm not real comfortable with this. I was like, I feel like I got poked. I was like, I don't know.
I'm sorry, man. That's why I don't give you this target. I'm sorry, man. That's just what I want to give this to you. I was like, man,
I'm fine now. I'm fine.
I'm sorry.
It's okay. It was fine. No, you know what? I like the variety. You did a good job with the variety. Okay. So let's get into it, because I actually, one of the first things I wrote down was magic and devil. Okay. So a lot of this data revolves around magic, the arcana, but mostly magic, a lot of magic, and light versus dark. And I did write down, I do want everybody to know there is a good light side to this, because I wrote God wins. Okay, God wins is in my data. God wins. This is light versus dark, and that is in my data. Okay, for this, but magic was a huge part of this. So whatever I was remote viewing it's just magic, and there's something very dark, and I wrote devil down. Okay, but for some of my sensory data, let's get into the sensory data. I wrote flying. I wrote avoid. Avoid. I think that's good. You need to avoid this. Avoid magic, contemplate, boisterous, boiling, hot, and thick. That was my sensory data. Okay. I actually wrote down lava. Like somebody actually in the chat a while ago had written something about lava. Maybe they're in my Patreon. I don't know. Somebody's writing down about lava. That's in my data, because what I was seeing, it was almost like I was thinking it could be hell or something is what I was saying. I don't know. But so I heard like take off.
Real quick, go back to this. So lava, I mean, you say hell, you were seeing hell. Do you maybe think that it was like you were feeling life like in this lava, something like that? Or
no, it was just really hot. It was really hot, and I wrote down devil. So like I'd already gotten into this. It was like magic, devil, the arcane. Like I was in the middle of something that was very like magic, but it was dark. Okay, like dark magic, and I wrote and I was picking up something super duper hot, and I thought what I was seeing was like lava. Okay, and I wrote lava. I wrote heat. I wrote Houston heat. Okay, like heat, and I also, I wanted to make it very clear to everybody, because I know this is a dark subject, but I kept writing, my data kept going from dark to light. And I want to make that very clear, because it was like dark. I was seeing all this dark stuff, but then I wrote down light versus dark, and God wins. And the tides are turning. Tides are turning. That's what I wrote down. Okay. So I just want to make that very clear. But the beginning of this data was very, and I didn't want to say like horrible or anything, because when you asked, you said, is it evil? I said, well, no, it's light versus dark. I didn't ever say like evil. I just said dark. And I know like to most people, like it's kind of the same thing, but it's not to me. Okay. Like, it's like, you got to have the dark. There's a dichotomy. Remember, I wrote that to you last night. I was like, it's like a duality, right? there's a duality in this target of like dark stuff, but there's also light. I know that's so weird. But anyways, so I was picking up on a magician, wrote magician, the arcana, the arcane, contemplation, deep thought. I heard out of my range. And that's when I was seeing all the lava. Okay, I thought I was seeing lava. I wrote knife and butter. A knife and butter. Like I was thinking like hot knife and butter. Okay, but I wrote knife and butter. And then all the heat. And that's when like I heard like the tides are turning and this is light versus dark. God wins. And I heard, you know that. I heard that like loud. And I was hearing these voices in my head. They were so loud, Barry. That is something that I told you. I said there were a lot of very loud voices. They were telling me what to write down. It was like it was like I wasn't having to, it wasn't just like coming to me. It was like I was hearing everything. Like it was more clairaudient this time than it's ever been in any target I've ever done. So
one question. I don't remember one question. So the words you're hearing, those are all the ones you're writing down for your data that you're getting, that you're hearing?
It's my AO. I write it down in my AOL, my analytic overlay. Yeah, that's where I write in my box. And if I hear it clairaudiently, I'll write it.
It's disturbing. It's just disturbing, man. Go ahead, I'm listening.
Why is it? Well, no, let's listen. So that's all of my first page, and I've got my drawing, which I don't really know what that is. I can't make out what I drew. Okay, it's just like a design. Why is that disturbing? Let's talk about it before we move on. I've got 2 more pages of data.
Well, you know, I first of all, I got an issue with the voices. The voices thing is something I had addressed in a video probably about maybe 2 months ago now. And then people on my Patreon channel started steering me towards Jerry Marzinski, whose interview with your friend Santel and some other people. And I really got into his work because he's taken it way deeper. He's got way more education and way more exposure and psychiatric than me. And what he's talking about, he saw the same thing, the patterns and things. And not just that, you know, we start dealing with the negative self and how that breaks down into negative identities through trauma and how much of our energy really goes into that. And our negative self and negative identities are always putting voices in our head, the negative stuff. But then you've got these external forces, these negative or inorganic beings that add fuel to the fire. And they put thoughts in our mind. They've already given us their mind to a certain degree, and they start putting thoughts in our mind that are not our own. Not all of our thoughts are our own. That's very disturbing, but that's where these voices come from. Just like you and I's feelings and emotions, which is really what we are beings that respond to stimuli through emotion and feelings, but our feelings are invisible, just like our thoughts are invisible. And those voices are invisible. This is a real serious deal. That's why I'm just saying it's a little disconcerting for that reason. I get very concerned because I would never want to put you in jeopardy, and I'm worried that I might have done this with this target. And
well, how about no more voodoo dolls as targets? How about that? We'll just make a rule tonight, okay?
Yeah, I mean, maybe we should use a different word too. I think voodoo gets such a negative term, but you know, you start dealing with hoodoo, and hoodoo is what really, especially that Africans had done in opposing Christianity and other imposed religions. So that's something. And you know, one thing for us set up, something that I started picking up that I didn't expect as you're going over this data, is that somebody put this thing in there to trap this thing, to get it away from somebody, to help somebody. Was that thing put in there as a ritual of evil, or was it to get rid of something and trap something that should not be here? I'm just kind of curious. And you know, there was a connection with this, that both the people that had the doll first, or the figurine first, and after they gave it to the Matthews or Denise and Greg, is that they had seen in their house this woman that's dripping wet, with shining eyes. And my question would be, is that something that some brilliant people, I'm trying not to look over here, but some brilliant people talked about when we were talking about our friend Matthew Delth and things in bottles. They're talking about gin.
Mm-hmm.
And when you start getting to gin and trapping them in bottles and things like that, also pay attention to this book, Uranta. I've done a video on it for anybody that cares. But what they call in here the midwayers. And you've got the primary midwayers and the secondary midwayers that came when we had these beings that came to this planet, the staff that were non-corporeal, and they started breeding with humans. Okay, but before you even get to what we call Nephilium, we have these things called midwayers. It's worth people checking that out. And what they call in here the secondary midwayers fit in description a lot what we call jinn. So I'm done. So please keep going. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah. Well, we have a quick question. What about Ace is wondering, Barry, could our thoughts be on a certain frequency? Do you think?
Oh, sorry. Oh,
could our
Ace,
thoughts?
I love that name. I love that name. Reminds me of Johnny
Mm-hmm.
Quest. Absolutely. And the thing is that Ace, a lot of these negative inorganic beings start generating energy and getting their psychokinetic energy, not just by electricity and flickering lights, but by giving us the negative thoughts. They get us generating these negative thoughts, and they use our own psychokinetic energy, which you like to call what, Jones?
Loosh?
Yes. They start generating enough of that they actually use our own pineal gland as a wormhole, as a portal to actually start manifesting in the third dimension. And when I say that, things that actually cause us problems, to stress our shields and get us open. So so very, very much I agree with what he's saying. Yes, frequency, yes, vibration, absolutely.
Yeah, and that's a good point too, Ron. The lava may indicate the cave where the statue is. That's a good point. It could be for sure, because lava was definitely in my data.
Oh, that's true. Well,
yeah.
Hey, question, Riley and Jessica. I don't mean to be primitive, but could you been describing hell, like a type of hell environment also? Something that comes from a hellish like environment. I mean, I don't know, but what he said is, I really go with what he's saying, actually.
Yeah. Well, it could be. It could be. I mean, it was hot. It was hot. Okay. Well, let's go to the next page, because this is really wild. Like, now that we've been talking about this, now that I'm more familiar with like kind of what the target is now, this is weird. This is really wild, because I can see, okay, if you look at my data, okay, for all my Patreon members, y'all have access to it right now. But you can see like there was a back and forth, a duality to everything here. So like I'm sensing this, like I'm writing down my sensory data, and then in my analytic overlay, I'm writing something completely opposite, which is really freaking weird. Okay, so for example, I'm hearing all these, because this is where I started hearing all these voices in my head, and it was like shouting, and it was like a whole bunch of voices, and it was just like talking really fast, and it sounded like a chorus of people. Huh? Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm listening.
Yeah, it sounded like a chorus of people like talking in my head. Now I was hearing shouting, and it was loud, and I wrote down shackles and chains. Shackles and chains. Now it's really interesting, because this thing right here has a noose around its neck, and it's got nails in its eyes. Okay, so I'm not saying that shackles and chains, but it's something that's like locked down. But in my analytic overlay, I wrote down freedom rings. Okay, so that is so weird that I'm like writing down opposite stuff, and I wrote down, okay. Oops. Okay, so let me go back. So I'm hearing these loud voices, shouting. I write down for this is my tangible sensory data, which that's shackles and chains. I write down freedom and freedom rings, and then I write down broken. Like that was part of my sensory data, was broken, and then I wrote down free. So it was like a whole lot of like broken, horrible, like shackles and chains. Somebody is chained, but then like in my analytic overlay, I'm seeing like freedom. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any freaking sense. But anyway, I
would say right now, when you get done, I pick up stuff from Spirit, and they often use entertainment to give me references. And when you get done, I'm going to tell you the references I'm getting now. Okay. And kind of a trip. So please keep going. But God, oh wow, okay. Oh wow, man.
What is going on? I mean, let's talk about it, because before I go to the next page. What is it? It's best that we talk about it in by page, okay? Because it's just a lot.
Okay, I'm getting two things. Okay, these are entertainment references I'm getting. Okay.
Okay.
One would be, and where's Dennis Carroll when I need him? This would be a reference of Doctor Who. Is he in the chat?
He was, yeah, he was. I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not keeping up with it.
One of my favorite episodes of Doctor Who is what they're sending, what I'm getting, and it was called The Pyramids of Mars with Tom Baker, and there was a being called Sutek that was quote unquote and the Egyptians Osirian. He was an Osirian, and he was trapped on Mars in a configuration, a pyramid called the Eye of Horus, and they had all trapped him in this thing because of his mental abilities. And as you're talking this, I'm getting that when you're saying free, he was trying to get free from this Eye of Horus. And then I try to wipe that out because I'm freaking out, obviously. And then then I'm picking up oh gosh, I'm gonna look like a weirdo. What I'm getting is it's the Trial of Trilogy of Terror Part 1 and 2. There's something called the Zuni Warrior, and it's this thing that came. This lady had a doll and it had a chain on it, and it said on there, "Don't take the chain off or let the Zuni Warrior out, the spirit out." And the chain like dropped off. She dropped it or cut it off on accident. And this thing in 2 movies is going, yeah. It looks kind of funny, but I mean, it's this. That's what I'm getting as you're saying this. And I don't think it's a joke, because that thing was moving around in people's rooms, and everything that the first group that found it in the cave, they gave it to the museum owners, was replicated. The wet footprints, okay, seeing the woman. And the second people tried to actually the museum people, they tried when they did that, try to make a 3D print of it. Which why in hell would you ever do that? They started having problems with the printer itself, and with the program, and all sorts of problems with it. Yeah. So anyway, sorry, you got a lot more data to go over that will, I'm sure, be much more distressing than even what we've been through. So please proceed.
Oh gosh. Well, I think Prophet Pre was asking how big was this. If that's what you're wondering, there's a reference right there of that person's hand. So it was pretty small. I thought it was a lot bigger than that too myself, and that picture might be the 3D printed version, I think, because they started doing like a lot of experiments with it after, they've 3D printed it. So it looks exactly like the original. And I think that this picture right here was where they were doing some sort of, I don't know what they were doing with it, but some kind of ceremony with it. So, but yeah, it was a lot smaller than I thought, because I was picking up when I was remote viewing this, I was picking up on something that seemed to be kind of heavy, but that doesn't look very heavy. Okay, it doesn't. But okay.
Really, you picked up heaviness. Yes. Real quick, okay. Last night too, with Dennis too, I talked about this too. There's 2 types of shadows I've seen: the spherical and the oval. We talked about them many times, but there's another one. And this when a friend, a mentor, pulled this deal on me in darkness. I saw one they call it either the jumpers or the flyers. Okay. And they seem to hurl through the air. And when they land, I heard like this little thump. Okay. And this weird cat is putting me through this, sitting over there. I knew you would be able to perceive them, and you hear them, don't you? I said, I'm hearing something. And he'd say, they're dense. Those ones, the flyers, are very dense. So these are a type of inorganic beings. Although they might be slightly imperceptible optically, they're dense, and you're describing that. So that's why I just want to throw that in there. So I'm done. Wow.
Okay. Yeah, some of it is really heavy. I also was picking up on something that was clear as well. That was in my data. It's clear, see-through. But I also picked up red. When I wrote down clear and see-through, I also wrote down red, black, blue, and black. Okay, so right. So that could be like
hoodie today.
No, I like your hoodie. Your hoodie's nice. That's cool. I also was picking up on something that might be frozen too. I mean, I don't know. It could just be part of the ritual or whatever that doll, that statue, stands for. But yeah. But they were saying they were seeing shadow figures and stuff. This thing brought about shadow beings. Okay, last page. Okay, so I heard the elephant in the room. Okay, so whatever this is, it's the elephant in the room. And I would say this is the elephant in the room, this little statue. Well, I said, okay, I was actually picking up on something. So I got all this data. I got a good bit of data actually on something that was like a hybrid, almost like I wrote down Minotaur. Some kind of animal human hybrid is what I was seeing. What is the Minotaur? Is that I can't remember if that's it's like a half man, half bull.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's kind of hybrid you were seeing, was something like that.
I wrote down a Minotaur. Yeah, Minotaur. It was a man with a animal body, like a man's torso and upper half, and like 4 legs of like a bull or something.
Wow.
Yeah, some kind of, or a horse. Maybe it was like a horse. It was either like a bull or a horse. I wrote down Minotaur.
Hey, that thing you have up there, Moon Dog. Okay, man.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, that was the first one, Karen Black. Yeah, she was a very good actress. Too bad she had such a horrible death. But yeah, somebody knew what I was talking about. I felt really weird for saying that. So thank you. Sorry.
Yeah. So, but I was seeing that it was some kind of animal human hybrid, and that's when I was seeing something, because I literally wrote sliding. Sliding is in my data. So something, and I wrote down dense and heavy, and it's recorded. Oh my God, this is so crazy. So I was picking up on this thing being recorded, sliding. This is exactly what I was picking up on right here. This video right here, I guess. I mean, this has been recorded, right? I wrote sliding, dense, heavy, and recorded. Recording. Something that was heavy. Okay, I wrote heavy, dense, and I wrote ton of bricks down. And what is this word? Messy. Oh, okay. It was heavy, like a ton of bricks. And I literally heard clear it out, shut it down, clear it out and shut it down. So I cleared it out because something was getting messy. Whatever I was remote viewing, I was like, this is getting messy. Clear it out, shut it down. That's when I ended the session at that point. But yeah, I think I was pretty on target with this one, for sure. But I mean, it doesn't answer everybody's questions, I'm sure, about it, but maybe. What do you think about it?
Well, somebody's saying that there's nothing is invisible. That is not true. That is not true at all. Everything does not have a sound and color. That is not true. And if you really dealt with the other realm, that is the void. Within the void, you have beings that do not have color, and they do not have sound. They just exist as energy beings, period. That I have experienced. Please do not say things that are not correct in terms of misleading people. That is not correct. Sorry. Anyway, what were you saying?
Oh no, I was just asking.
What bird off is? Oh gosh. Yeah, agreed.
Yeah,
it's kind of creepy.
No. Actually, Kent was asking me, what do I need? Like, what information do I need before I remote view something? Well, I am not supposed to have any information at all. I'm given a set of numbers. Now, I can't remote view by myself. I have to have someone that tasks me with a target. Okay, and so that's Barry's job. That's what Barry did. Barry has a target in mind. He writes it down. He assigns it a set of coordinates, like 8 numbers, and then all I'm given are those 8 numbers. So that's what I require, are the numbers. But I have to have
I was hoping this would be a fake one. I was hoping this was the objects that was just hyped up, and it was one of the 90% of objects they said does nothing. But yeah. I was hoping that was the data you were going to get. In fact, I was kind of counting on it. Wrong.
I don't think that's ever happened. I don't think that's ever happened with a single target you've given me. Or you hope it's fake. I mean, has it? I don't remember. I do. There's been one target one target in all like the 2.5 years I've been public about my remote viewing. There was a target. It involved like a dogman siege of somebody's ranch or something. That was fake. That was totally fake. And I'm not gonna name names or whatever, but it was, I couldn't get any data out of it at all. And I was like, what? I kept getting like book, like literature and like all this weird stuff. It was like it was a story that had been written. So, but anyways, I digress. This one, I do think that this is a real haunted object. It really exists. There's something. There's a lot of magic that's been put into this thing. The thing is magic, and magic was like a K, okay, too, like magic, and it's I'd say kind of demonic.
Okay, that's my question. Overall, with the data, the magic that's been put into it, do you feel that's overall negative or positive? What do you feel that magic is?
Negative.
I have to agree.
Of course, it's negative. I don't see anything positive. I mean, but here's the thing. It was like so weird. It was almost like I'm getting this data. Okay, so the analytic overlay is me interpreting stuff. Well, I am always freaking positive as crap. I try to be, and I think that like my soul was like, and that's why it's analytic overlay, right? Because it's not what the target is. This is me trying to like make it better or something subconsciously. Okay, that's what I was doing over here. It's like all this dense, heavy crap, and I'm like, but God wins. Okay, but good wins. God wins. Light versus dark. We're gonna get out of this, like, and I'm interpreting my take on it over here, but it's just really dark over here. Like the real data is just dark and dense and demonic, and like
that was my question. So was
Yeah.
Was the doll to put something in there so it would be a way to manifest here, or was it an attempt to contain something? That's why I asked, because you kept saying the battle between light and dark. That's what I was wondering, how that doll tied into that in that specific way, besides the obvious way we would think. You know what I mean?
My take on it is that they were trying to bind a person, or there was something that was being, I feel like they were trying to put a spell or put a curse on a person. Okay, that was my take, was that someone, okay, now analyzing the data, knowing what it is now, I think that there's a group of people or a person, probably a coven or something. They're trying to bind and hurt a person or a family, or whatever. There's only one doll, so I don't know how that works.
That would go along with what they're saying. And the woman that's been seen, some middle-aged or younger woman that drowned, or not quite a kid but younger still, and she drowned, and that was all about her. Maybe that's true, and that's why they're seeing her in the house, and maybe it's her footprints. It's weird, because when I heard about the footprints, what I felt, and when you described some type of hybrid type creature, I'll be honest with you, Jessica, I was seeing something like a trapped kappa.
Well, I wrote devil.
Remember the kappa?
Yeah, with the bowl for the head. Yeah. I had a hard time swimming in a lake in Alabama after that. Just so you know, I had a really hard time jumping in that water after that show. Yeah, we never know what's swimming underneath our feet in those big old lakes. So it takes one little grab of my toe and I'm out of there. Right. And of course, while I was in there and I was worried about it, that's when the fish started nibbling on my legs and stuff. So, yeah.
He's right about that. Or Ron Forrest, he's right about that. Again, going back to this weird book here, it's weird. This has been coming up. People say they've been like quoting it to me. It's weird, but what they talk about, the nodites in here, Nodites. And those, again, are off the Adamic strains and these other beings that came here. But one of them are nodites. And even some type of nodites in here are really described as being Nephilium. So when they say nodites in here, they're talking about Nephilium also. But I would agree with what you're saying. But they these giants that had these magical rituals. And, and I think that it goes a lot more extensive than the ones that you and I are so more familiar with, like the mountain giants and the ones with the tusk and things. And again, you and Dennis had an interesting discussion about those giants with tusks the other night too. That was fascinating.
Oh yeah, for sure. And now John and Coco, what's up, y'all? Are saying there's a documentary about the Catskills Crone called The Unbinding. And yes, I was going to bring that up. And that is, yeah, I have not watched it. I was going to watch it today. I just did not have time. I'm going to watch it. I'm planning to watch it sometime after I get done with this weekend. I got so much on my plate right now. I'm definitely going to watch this. It's on Amazon Prime, I think. Is that what Coco just said?
You know, Denise Matthews and Greg, what is it? Greg, oh gosh.
Newkirk.
Yeah, Newkirk. Thank you. Newkirk. Just remember that always. I like Kirk. Anyway, but they have a YouTube channel, and it's about 4 or 5 years old, and it's like of unknown origins or something like that. If you type in Crone on YouTube, Crone statue Catskill, that it'll come up. It'll be the first video that comes up. Look at their channel. What's interesting is they're the only people that I've seen that have covered almost as many things as you. Not quite as many, but interesting thing like the goggles and things, even a couple years before you did. Nobody else that I've ever seen has done some of the topics you've done. So that's interesting. But they've got all, like, so many people donates them objects. How are you not going to find out about that? You know, I mean, they've got a bunch of stuff. Yeah. You
know, that's, what is it? Zach Bagans on Ghost Adventures. He's had a haunted museum in Las Vegas. I didn't go to it when I was in Vegas last year. I wanted to.
I didn't know about that. I was in Vegas last year. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, I would be afraid that Zach Bagans of Ghost Adventures. It's called the Haunted Museum. And I wanted to go. But I was also kind of scared. I had the opportunity to go. Some of the people that were with us went. But I'm just always worried that something's going to attach to me and try to hitchhike. You know what I mean? So I try to stay away. I'm just honestly, Barry, I'm not into like the haunted stuff anymore. Like I used to be. I used to be big time. But after knowing, like discovering and knowing that I had attachments on me at some point, a little girl, like a Union soldier from the Civil War and stuff. Like I kind of started trying to stay away from haunted stuff as much as I could. Anything that gives me the heebie-jeebies and I don't get a good feeling about, I don't want to be around it. You know, I'd rather go chase Dogman in the woods. You know, and Bigfoot. But
I think that is wise. Yeah. You know, and honestly, you know, the thing is that really when you go into like haunted places for real, or if you've had to really deal with that in your life, it's no big hunting deal. It's no big exciting deal. It sucks because those things really mess with your life a lot of time and try to get you out of the place that you're living. They cause a lot of problems in your life. And on top of two, and you know, it's different because I talk about earthbound spirits a lot, but I talk about the ones that are inside the energy field. Like you've got several people in your audience that have worked with me now, and we've done some crossing overs. They'll testify that they're inside the energy field, so closely inside that they always knew that they were there, but they didn't. You know, that's not like the ones on the outside that are more worried about property and more worried about, you know, getting people out of there and not changing things and trying to keep the same phantom machinery routines they were doing before they died. So that's, anyway, sorry, we're not even supposed to be talking about dead people, but it's one of those things, definitely. And I think you're wise to say that because you're very empathic, Jessica. And, you know, despite the fact all of us that say we can protect ourselves, every person that tells me that when they do a session with me, they've got several dead people attached to them, no matter what they've done. That's just the way it is. You know what I mean? I mean, 100 some people, 200 some people, I've had one person that didn't have any. And actually two. And the other, one of them, they left when I came. They left, then they came back. So I tricked them and came back later and did another session and caught them. But I mean, that's, you know, it's weird. It's just the world we live in. Some of us are strong, but they're just all over the place. We don't even have a fair chance.
Yeah, right?
Sorry.
I know. Anyway. Well, you know, with that, when I found out through, I can't remember, I had a ghost box session or something, and I had this is a long time ago. Okay, but I think it was a ghost box session with Christopher Moon, okay, in Atlanta, and it was right after my brother had died, or actually, probably my brother died, and I had a boyfriend who had died of, suicide. And so I was looking to make sure they were okay. I know that sounds, well, it's just, it is
No,
what
I
it is.
understand.
It's
I
part of
understand.
the grieving process,
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
and I was talking to what I was told, they said was like a spirit guide, one of my spirit guides, someone, I'm not going to get into detail. Okay. Cause it's kind of personal. Right. But we were kind of walking through some things and I had a lot of questions and that, and I'm the biggest skeptic when it comes to ghost boxes. I'm always like, you never know who you're talking to, but it was very personal. Okay. And there was communication going on at this time. And this is back in like the early 2000s. Okay. And there was communication going on that it all made sense. Okay. And the people I was talking to were, to me, I believe it was my family and stuff at that time. And I still do to this day. I do. But I was told like what my past lives were, some of them. Okay. And yeah, just a lot of interesting things. But one thing that I asked, or I don't think I did ask, I was just told that I had attachments, and they were like, well, you got a little girl who's attached to you, who holds onto your leg all the time, and she loves you, and she feels safe around you. And they were like, anytime you feel goosebumps, that's her. And I was always feeling goosebumps on my legs all the time, and I couldn't figure out why. And I was like, man, that totally makes sense. And I had a soldier who had attached to me, and I got his name, and I went home and I looked him up, and he was an actual soldier who died in Atlanta, where I lived. He said that he attached to me at my apartment, that haunted apartment that I lived in, with all the flies on the ceiling and the black mass of energy that's pushed me down that night, and like all this like really scary stuff was happening at this apartment. Like he was there. He hopped on in that apartment, and he said some things. He actually came through. I was talking to him, and he said, well, I'm the one that whistles. And Barry, I swear to goodness, right before he said that, about a couple of weeks before that, I'd been down at my farm by myself at night with my dog, and somebody whistled from behind the house. And I was supposed to be there all by myself, and I'm at a farm on like 250 acres of land by myself, and there's somebody whistling 20 feet from where I'm standing.
Did he say he jumped you and joined with you ever? Or is he just following you around and haunting you?
No, he just followed me around. Yeah, he was just following me around.
Let me make sure I get sure, because you've told me this before, but it was during a private conversation. And this came through the ghost box, right?
Yes, it was like a big ghost box, like one of those telephones of the dead or something, and where Christopher's actually, this is one of those things that I paid to go do. Okay, so Christopher had made this box, and he called in his spirit guide, and he called in mine, and they were interacting on the other side and bringing people through to come talk to me and stuff. It was really cool, actually. Not something I would do by myself.
Certain things you just said to me that are very crucial, that says that was a very real experience, and I'm very impressed that worked like that. And let me ask you one more question. I think this is good, not just for me, but everybody. Jessica, even with that experience, overall, what is your feeling concerning ghost boxes or voice boxes? Are they positive? Are they negative? Are they good? Are they bad? What do you think?
Okay, I don't like I gave my ghost box away. Okay, I didn't want it anymore. I had two personal ITC devices. I did not like them. I don't trust the voices that were coming through now. And I know this, maybe I sound like a ghost box snob or something. I don't know. I don't mean to, but the session that I had with Christopher Moon, it was very controlled, and he knows what he's doing, and I trusted him, and I felt like a connection. Now, when we go out in the field and it's like you're doing a ghost hunt, you're like at a place where there's like demonic activity going on. I mean, what kind of voice do you expect to come through? You know what I mean? So I don't trust them personally. I would never turn one on in my home ever. I don't, kind of stuff.
Here's what I've encountered with a couple of clients.
Yeah.
That they're working with ghost boxes, and they hear the voices and yada yada, and someone would come through the boxes, several times. and then suddenly they're hearing them when they're sleeping, when the box is not on. Very big problem.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say. You know what I mean? So yes, I mean, so we start dealing with these voices, and that's a tactic that the negative forces have always used. Voices against us, and they use our negative self to do that. That's why we always hear these negative voices are always in our own voice, because they've given us their mind. So there's I'm hearing all these different voices, but a lot of times maybe not what you just went through with this viewing this, but it's your own voice. So you think it's talking to yourself, your own negative thoughts. That's actually they're using for food. These inorganic beings. Yeah. It's very serious for us to realize, those of us in these circles really talking about this and getting heavy like you and I are, that although we have our apex concrete jungles, we are prey. We are food for a different legion of beings, a different classification of non-organic beings that feed on our luminosity, feed on our emotions. It's real serious, and we're being herded down here like cattle. That's why there's all these wars. That's why there's all this stuff to keep us so primitive down here and keep us from being the magical kids, the beings that we should be. Like I've said on your last show, and I won't say it again, and on Dennis's last night, that luminous glow that infants have, when you really look at them and look at their luminous cocoon that goes a few feet outside of their young bodies, look at that luminous glow they have around their cocoon, around their biofield, that you don't see on adults. You don't even see it on teenagers anymore. Why not? It's because it's that louche that they're eating. They're tearing up our awareness. And I don't know any other beings that I've been able to see outside of some plant forms like peyote and other things. We wonder how many people died for us to see what plants we can actually ingest. When you start dealing with the ancients that saw by, like I talked about, by luminosity, by actually cocoon and energetic structure, biofield, they could see those that matched humanity and those that do not. And then they could see, though, there will be poison. Then they could see those that have a great wider biofield than us. They're called power plants. Right. Peyote, mushrooms, things of that nature that have a bigger biofield than us. So these are important things to kind of be aware of. You know what I mean? Anyway, just point being, I bring that up a lot because these predators, they harvest us in that way. And when they don't, you find a person that still has that luminous awareness of glow when they're an adult. Have you really met one? I'm sorry, they're magical people. They're people that can do feats of awareness in front of you that'll blow you away. Stuff like Houdini and people like that. You know what I mean? Keeping it 100. Stuff we can't explain always. Anyway, sorry, you probably got more data to go over. I don't want to.
No, I don't have any more data, but I do have a interesting point to kind of bring up because when I'm out in the field with my teams, I've spent years and years and years with those people that are on my team, on all my teams for the most part. Well, I just met the Crypt Warfare guys last year, okay, but my other teams, we've been doing a lot of very extensive like psychic work together and stuff. Like the remote viewing, and you talked about the bioluminescence around a person, and I do believe that is something that we have worked on as a team. And when we're out in the field, and we now, a lot of people just naturally have it when you're super switched on psychically. Okay, like you're going to shine that light. You're going to vibrate on a different frequency when you're really tuned in to nature and to yourself, mostly to yourself, and to your psychic abilities. And so when we're out in the field, that gives us a huge edge when we're out there doing cryptid field research, because we're like lighthouses out there. And so everything comes to us. And I'm not kidding when I say that. We get just as much activity at base camp than we do when we're out there hiking around the woods at night, because everything wants to come in and see what we're doing and who we are and why we're there and connect. So it's just a cool little point that I wanted to bring up.
You're absolutely correct. And when doing that, you know what I mean? It takes us into what excuse me, Rupert Sheldrake calls the morphogenic and morphogenetic fields. And when really each one of you got your luminous cocoon or a biofield vibrating like that, they become almost collective in a way. And in that way, it lights up everything. That's going to be a calling card for any type of inorganic beings or cryptids or whatever you want to call them, Earth projections out there are going to be grabbed to that. There's a wise old saying, water seeks its own level. My mom used to say that all the time, but seriously, but that brings that together. You got a good vibe. I met a couple of your team members at that first conference. Really nice people. Really, everybody's one of them nice people, and a lot of cool information, different stuff you guys share around. It's really cool. But that type of intention, that type of vibration, you got to get noticed by other things out there. You know what I mean?
And you know what? Here's the cool thing. Okay, so y'all know, like, I like to kind of joke around, and I take everything with like just a grain of salt. And I have to laugh. If I'm not laughing, I'm crying, right? So, the whole team is kind of like that. Like, we don't take things so seriously. Like, we take it seriously, very seriously, but we also are very, just go with the flow. We don't like I said, we just don't take things so seriously. We go out there and we have fun. Okay, we're out there to have fun. We know how dangerous things are, but we're still cracking jokes the whole time. No matter how scary of an experience we're having, we're still laughing and stuff and having a great time. So that makes a big difference too when it comes to the cryptid encounters. I'm just saying the positive cryptid encounters. Okay, positive. Like, you want to, let's just say my team wants to potentially communicate with Bigfoot. Okay, well, they're not going to come out there if we're out there banging on trees and being like, "Come on to the camp." You know what I mean? No shade, bang on trees, but I'm just saying, like, it's almost like I'm not saying it'd be like insulting to them or something, but it's
why not? If you were a Sasquatch, how much popcorn would you have? Here they go. They're gonna start yelling here in a minute. They're gonna start banging on the trees in a minute. It would be the biggest comedy thing you've ever had, man. Especially if you had that one brother saying right now, I was with Sasquatch. They live pretty much in Bel Air. They had a big old screen, they had statues and all this, and they watch us as for TV. They'd definitely be watching that.
We're good. We're good entertainment for them.
That's something about you, though. That's why I really enjoy working with you. It's because you do this because it is fun. You like the joy of this. It's a chance to try to save humanity, but there's a joy in it too. And you, like me, have come up against these demons in these fields and these horrible people, but you keep going forward. That's why I keep working with you, and that's why you've got the beautiful audience that you have. And I'll tell you, your chat is flying so fast, I can't look at it. I tried. It's going too fast. It said you got to push the new thing to get new comments. Then it goes the whole thing down.
I'm so sorry if I'm missing comments tonight, you guys. Y'all have some great ones. I'm watching. I have two things going right here, trying to keep up with the comments, and so I did wanted to bring this up because Liana King is asking, Barry, do you still work with children?
What an interesting question. I'll tell you, I did that for so many years, and I actually designed facilities that I trained other people to work with kids. And, I don't do that a lot anymore, but now with the work I'm doing, especially with dealing with negative identities and past life things, children are starting to come to me as clients or being referred to as clients from their parents. For example, I had, this is where my local area here, so I got to do it in person, actually. But it was a family that lived in a close city from here by my brother, actually. And I did two earthbound releases. And one of them was with a young girl that had DID. And very interesting how that went, but I won't go into that. What's that?
What does DID stand for? What does that stand for?
Dissociative identity, which is kind of like multiple personality disorder that it used to be called now, but now they call it DID. But they had that, so they had multiple personalities. And so interesting when I did the crossing over these earthbound spirits, how the earthbound spirits were not the alters.
Okay.
I won't go into that. All right. Anyway, point being, there were other young people that were watching this, and then one of them wanted me to come work with them, and they're about to go to college. So they're younger. And when I do these earthbound spirit release on them, they have these, the earthbound spirits, they're very talkative. I'm not talking about the demonic. I'm talking about people like your mom and dad that never crossed over, sometimes for hundreds of years.
God.
And they start talking to me using these inflections, Jessica, that are odd. I can't quite, they're just odd. And you see a young person talking like this, it's a trip, But what it is that their parents were actually pilots. And when I start asking, where, I'll find out, where did the earthbound spirit join with the person at? Not just where are they, but where. And they'll tell you. And, and they say, such and such castle in Romania, such and such castle in Yugoslavia. And that's why the inflection, some of these were going back hundreds and hundreds of years. But they jump with the client in these places because their parents were pilots, and in the Air Force, they go all over the place.
Wow.
And they've toured those ancient places, and they're empathic, and they're picking these things up. This is just to say, well, I've been there for, hundreds of years, but this one, very cool. And it was my chance to get out of here and move around and live again. You know what I mean? God. That's very serious. And these aren't even demons, even that far back. But they start telling you things and telling me things like, I've been here for a while, though. It's not time like we know it. But they start saying things to me like it's before all the earthquakes. And then y'all messed everything up, messed up society. They're talking about evolution, planet Earth changes. I mean, that's really a trip. I'm sorry, no matter how many of them I do, I feel like I'm brand new every time because I'd be blown away. I think that's what it means. You have to be as of children to get back into the higher realms. That's, that wonder.
Well, okay, Barry, I have a question. What are the odds of and I already know better. Like, I'm not going to touch one of these things. If I come across something like this in the woods or in a cave, I'm not touching it. I am running. I'm not even walking away from it. I'm just I might snap a picture so I can show people later or something, but I'm out of there. Okay. What are the odds of people becoming possessed by an object like this? Because we have the very famous movie called Annabelle, right? And it's about that doll. Now they did change the doll. It was a Raggedy Ann doll. In the movie, it's that right there. I mean, people can become possessed by these things, right? I mean, do the dolls, like the demon or whatever is in it, it jumps into people's bodies, or what's going on here?
Well, you got to remember, how did dolls actually come about? What was the true origin of dolls? They were used to put people's souls into.
Oh, geez.
Especially children. Really? That's what I've always been told, okay?
Oh my God.
And when you start dealing into things like, I'm sure you're familiar with that island, the Island of the Dolls. I don't mean the movie, the one that actually existed out there. I don't know if they tore it down or not, but that guy that had all those dolls out there. And that guy, what's his name, that goes out there and is chasing everything. And he never sees anything. Josh Gates. Josh Gates and Unexplained. Yeah, he's always out there running. They're going through all the brush and there's nothing over there. You never find nothing. But anyway, he did a thing out there at the Island of the Dolls. And they had several of them that they caught with the eyes blinking when they were shouldn't be. And that again goes into something that, I was talking with Dennis about, these nails in the eyes of this doll, and how that goes into something they call, I think it's oculophiliac is what it's called, and how that is the eyes actually roll similar to REM, rapid eye movement, and why the dolls, they get their eyes to roll also, but how that's a way to actually tapping the brain of people that are touching this thing. Tapping into the neuroscience, the neural frequencies of our brain. That's real serious. And that's a very high type of magic hexing. You know what I mean?
Oh my God.
And so, yeah. So it's just stuff like that, that makes me I'm like you. I'm sorry. I go in that cave. I see that thing. I'm fine. What was the ice cube say? I'm 5,000. I'm 5,000 G. I'm out of there. I'm not taking pictures. I'm not messing up my equipment. I'm gone. I certainly wouldn't touch that thing and take it home. That's like just praying for. That's like praying for a possession. That's praying for it. It's like taking 20 shots and, hey, let me go drive to the police station. You know what I mean? It's about the same thing, so it's, I'm sorry. To me, I agree with you. First thing you said, well, it's stupid. Yeah, it's stupid. Why did you even touch that thing? Well, you got somebody tell you too, hey, there are devil worshippers all over the place here, but hey, let's take that home. What?
Yeah. Right. Okay. Speaking of being on something to go there. Okay. I'm going to pivot a little bit. Okay. From the doll to that statue, because there was someone back in the day who was on one, let's just say on a few, and he started hanging out with some little people in the Catskill Mountains, and he fell asleep and woke up 70 years later. His name is Rip Van Winkle. And this is also in the Catskill Mountains, Barry. Okay, so the Catskill Mountains, first of all, are a very magical place, right?
Really?
Yeah. Are you familiar with this story? I mean, some people say this is a true story. Some people say, it's just myth.
I'll be honest, I for some reason thought that was Rumpelstiltskin. But yeah, I got you.
No, Rumpelstiltskin is the little troll that, that's from Rapunzel, right? I don't know. Let down your beautiful long hair. Okay. So that's Rip Van Winkle. And actually, I had Charles Andrews on the show a while back. He is with, I think it's Catskill Mountain Bigfoot, actually. And he's had a lot of Bigfoot experience. He actually has Bigfoots that live around his house. Okay. On his property out there in the Cats. He lives right there at Rip Van Winkle Mountain. I mean, he can literally see it from his house where he lives. And so he came on, we talked about it. He said it was real. People really talk about there being little people there in the mountains. And that story kind of accentuates that. Okay. And the story goes that Rip Van Winkle, I guess he was having a hard time. His wife was just laying it on him, like being mean. And he just needed to go get away. So he took a trip up to the mountains. He ran into some little people, some little guys, like troll looking dudes, who had barrels of alcohol. And it was some kind of magic alcohol, apparently. It's like troll juice. I think I did a picture. It was like troll juice. Yeah. And so, but he drank it and he woke up. It was like 70 years later or something like that. And he went into town, and his beard, had a long beard. He couldn't figure out where everybody was. The town looked different. He went to his house. I think his daughter was living there or something. And they're like, where have you been for all these years? And for him, it was just a night, but it's like he got caught in some kind of time warp or something. So
in jest, could you imagine the size of boogers he must have after sleeping that long?
Yeah, right.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Joe. Anyway, but that's interesting. I did not know that was in the Catskills.
It is. It's in the Catskills. The Catskills have a lot of very interesting magical, cryptids even too. Charles has a pretty good bit of evidence of some of the Bigfoots that he has. He kind of lives with out there.
How close is the Catskills to where the mafia dumps the bodies? What's that place? What's it called?
I don't know. There's lots of
General Hospital, City Corritos. They dump all the bodies out there. What's it called? It's like I've heard so much about actually Bigfoot being around there too. You gotta know what this is called.
I don't know. Maureen says that's where they filmed Dirty Dancing too. So yeah.
What is the name of that where they dump the bodies? The mafia. It's all hot place out there.
I have no idea. I don't want to know.
Well, I mean, it's just well known. It's like I said, General Hospital.
Like from The Sopranos or something.
Yes, that too. All of them, but it's not. I'm just seriously. I'm curious if it's near the Catskills, because outside of the whole mafia thing, they say that there's so many Bigfoot and other cryptids, maybe even Thunderbirds seen out there.
Oh yeah. I'm not sure. I mean, there's just a lot of
barracks, not the barracks. Oh man. Anyway, sorry. I can't.
Yeah, he had a nagging wife. That's right. He had a nagging wife. Troll Kool-Aid. Oh my gosh. Well, I just kind of wanted to point that out. Also found another interesting picture, and this is where they were digging out the aqueducts, I guess, in the Catskill Mountains. I mean, you and I both know, Barry, there's probably a lot of underground activity going on out there too, like deep underground military bases and stuff like that. Things we're not supposed to know about, probably. But yeah, no telling what else going up there in those mountains. What's going on? But it's a beautiful place. I mean, this is from inside a little cave there with a waterfall, and I wouldn't mind going there. But yeah, so I mean, so what do you think overall about the target tonight, Barry? Do you think the data was kind of on point? And what do you think about the doll now, the statue?
I think everything that we would, all the obvious things, how hexed this is and everything, and it's some type of a devil ritual, and obviously some type of a conjuring, with this thing. And it's just, it just shows how much, something about evil is that evil really has no set place. It moves around. And if you see something like that in the cave, why help it move?
I know, right? I know. Well,
and,
so you can put it in your museum of haunted demonic dolls. That's why, to each their own. Just don't bring me into it.
And it makes you things too, like Greg kept saying that he thought that doll was trying to get back to that cave. That's where it wanted to be. Kind of like the creature in the crate on Creep Show. Even you saw that one, Jones. There was an original Creep Show. There was a creature in the crate that was underneath this like stairwell in this high school, and they moved it out. It ate up a couple people, but then it moved the crate back underneath the stairwell.
Ew.
They're saying he moved it back to where it was been comfortable there for like 100 years. It's been just sitting there. So when dealing with something like that deal, but they had mentioned the first people that found the crone said they felt it had not been there long at all, like it was just put there.
Oh wow, interesting. Wow, this is okay. The Adirondacks. That's where Jeremiah Fountain lives there. I just talked to him the other day. Jeremiah, remember we did that show with Jeremiah, Barry, where he's super cool, man. Yeah, I had remote viewed that horse humanoid that his neighbor had found, and that's when my feed got cut. My internet was shut down, and it was only my house of all the houses on my street. I was the only house that lost internet through the company that night.
Hey, now I can ask you my question. It came to me.
Okay.
It's the Pine Barrens. Is the Catskills close to the Pine Barrens? Are those close together?
Probably. I mean, the Pine Barrens run through New Jersey too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's where the Jersey Devil is seen.
And some type of Sasquatch too, right? And I've heard Thunderbirds have been seen in the Pine Barrens too.
Yeah, probably. There's all sorts of weird stuff going on out there.
Thunderbirds is starting to come up more than usually recently. Have you noticed that?
Yes. Yeah, FAP says White Plains is where they dump the bodies. Suspicious of y'all now. Everybody in here that knows where they dump the bodies.
On General Hospital, it's the Pine Barrens. No, just kidding.
I don't know where they dump bodies. I was wondering. Yeah, actually, another place where they would dump bodies was at Brown Springs in Oklahoma. That's what Tex would talk about. It was like a mob place where they would go dump bodies. They had like a pig farm there. And so too. So that's partly why that place is so haunted, I guess. Maybe. Oh my gosh. We talk about something. What a
cool chat. Yeah. That's why I was looking over there. They're talking about the Pine Barrens. Somebody said it was in New Jersey or something. Yeah, like you said. That's cool. Sorry guys, I'm from the Midwest. I don't know much about those areas. But I like it. I think it's cool.
All right.
I've heard so much about the Appalachian Mountains, including what you said, what Dennis Carroll was saying last night. And, when we had our little deal where you and I met in person, wasn't that in Helen, Georgia? Wasn't that like on the edge of the Appalachian Mountains we're looking at there?
That is the Appalachians. Yeah, that's where I do my Bigfooting in the Appalachians. Most of my Bigfoot is down in Middle Georgia. That's not really the Appalachians.
Made me feel a little uncomfortable in a Paul Bunyan type of bears everywhere type of deal. You know what I mean? And now it's just so common to see bears getting in people's cars. And everybody's up there saying that. You know, I'm not quite used to. I like a brother like me likes to go walk at night in darkness and not up there, man. Stayed right in the room.
No,
But I think it's just interesting how much I hear about the Appalachians, though, more than any other mountain range. I think, you know.
yes.
I had a friend that had some really spiritual experiences at what he described, and it's called actually the Three Sisters in Oregon.
Yeah. For entertainment purposes only, y'all.
No, serious, serious. Like the Rock. No, I'm just kidding. you know, it's too bad that they're doing so much, but right now the censorship is starting to fade because right now we're seeing a point in history where so many things, so much hidden history is being revealed. I mean, it's really starting to come forward now, and it's starting places like here, what you're doing, the remote viewing, all these other things coming together that is really starting to expose. We're all communicating so much what's going on this planet, you know? That's the real disclosure. Don't ever expect it to come from governments.
Agreed. I 100% agree with that. Cryptid says Barry should come hang out with me sometime if he wants to have a weird experience.
I don't know, Cryptid. Where do you stay? Where do you live?
Yeah, Cryptid's for the LBL in Kentucky. So.
Oh, okay. Land between the lakes.
Yes, I'll come up there. I want some weird experiences. That's what I live for. I love that.
Question: do you feel that place is kind of negative or evil? I hear so much stuff about that place. What do you feel? Is that like positive, negative? Or
I mean, it's probably like every other place. It's like a duality. You know what I mean? You hear a lot of negative stuff because of the attacks and things that have happened there. And but yeah.
Why do you think there's so many cryptids there, Jessica? In that area, why do you think it's so hot like that?
Well, our friend William Nighthawk has he's told me. I don't think he's in the chat tonight, but he has said that curse land for the most part. There's a lot of cemeteries. There's like 200 to 300 cemeteries on that piece of property. It's a big piece of property. But he said that. But that's what he says, and I can get behind that. I believe it. I think it could be that there's cursed land there. I also think that there's some kind of underground facilities potentially, and underground activities and rituals and things like that, and backwoods cults and stuff, conjuring stuff. I mean, there's probably a culmination of a lot of stuff. Yeah, but it's probably very beautiful in the daytime, though.
Yeah,
probably really nice. Yeah, I'll have to go check it out. I'll let you know what I figure out when I go there.
Let me know. It's just so much about that place. It's really interesting, like long before our lifetime. That place has been hot for a long time, hasn't it?
It has.
Brown Mountain Lights in North Carolina is interesting. I went there. About 3 months ago, just before Asheville got flooded out. I went there with the individual known as James Ring or James Rink, whichever one he gets going by now.
Rink.
But it's interesting individual. But we hung out for a while, and he took me to the Brown Mountain Lights. And when getting out there, parking and getting out, and several other people with us, we saw 2 lights that were highly unidentified. More than anything we've seen the whole time we were there. Saw some other stuff that was interesting, but not like that. I've seen many things in my day, and I cannot describe what these 2 things flying were, what they were. And everyone saw them. It was quite interesting, So that is that. But then again, that place, I'm going to be honest, okay? That whole mountain, that place felt dark as hell to me. I did not like it. Okay, I feel like weird people are up there. It felt dark. It just a bad vibe there. Did not like it. I'm just going to be honest, okay? I mean, it's interesting, yes, but as far as like a positive place to get my camping on, no way in hell. I don't camp anyway. I don't like s'mores or any of that, but I certainly wouldn't do it up there.
I would totally go. I get out. I get in the woods as much as I can, and yes, I will sleep. You know, here's my thing, Barry. If you're not comfortable sleeping in a tent out in the woods, look, what I do, especially if I take my son, if I take my kid, we sleep in the truck. Like we have an SUV, okay, and the doors lock, okay, and we roll the windows up, and we're fine. It feels way safer sleeping like that, like making a big pallet in the back of it, putting the seats down, and it just adds a little bit of protection. If you, I'm just giving you a pro tip. That's all. If you're
disappointed. I thought you were this big tent person. I thought you were pitching the tent.
But I said when I have my kid, when I take my kid, my only thing is I have to protect that kid, okay, at all costs. So we are sleeping in a truck with the doors locked when he's there. Yeah,
well, for sure. Your kid likes Rambo, First Blood. Pretty soon he'll be protecting himself.
I'm not worried about him. I'm definitely not worried about him. He definitely can take care of himself. He can, and me, and everybody else around us. But still, he's still a kid. Yeah, being a parent, you can't be bait. That's right.
And I mean, like I said, apparently you were born with some of my testicular fortitude, because I wouldn't be out there doing a lot of stuff you do. That's why I liked you from the beginning before we actually met. I was reading the stuff about you and all the, I guess you guys call it on the ground or whatever, but it's really cool. I thought it was cool. And I was like, man, I'd like to talk to somebody that actually goes out there and is doing the field work. I got a lot of respect for that, you know?
Yeah. Thank you. No, I'm out there as much as I can be. I went in the woods last weekend. I mean, we go, even if it's just to go take a nature hike or something and go look for tracks, we're out there. Like I'll be out there this weekend, even though we're going to be up in Elkins Creek. I've been given an opportunity to actually camp out on Elkins Creek where the Elkins Creek Bigfoot casts were made. And so there's a chance I might be doing that this weekend. I don't know. I'll let y'all know. We'll see. I'll let you know after I do it.
You know, since we're kind of OT right now, I'm gonna throw something extra in, okay?
Yeah.
I'll be doing a little bit of looking even deeper into, oh gosh, you remember the name of it. There is a museum in Texas, okay, that has actually those prints of the human prints with the dinosaur prints over it. You know, I'm talking about those tracks and all that. They've got several of them, and one of them is called I want to say the Calder footprint, CULPRIT. Anyway, they've got these difference, and there's a great deal of arguing if they're real or not. Supposedly they were carved out by some artist called George Adams around 1930. But you have some individuals now that are there doing impression weights on these things that say that's not true, that they're not all fake. You know, it's so interesting because those things have come up for a long time to say that man walked with dinosaur.
Oh, yeah.
And man goes that far back, and so much we hear about the flood, like Randall Carson says, is not correct. There's different flood periods. You know, just food for thought. I'm sorry, I should have even written that down. The name of this museum, but it's in Texas. And if you just look up these different prints and the prints of dinosaurs with humans, that will come up, and all those tracks are located in that museum. And it's just interesting. It makes you wonder how much of it was carved versus how much of it will completely challenge what we know as evolution. Which I guess for those of us in your crowd, that's no big mystery. But I think it's fun when stuff like that comes to mainstream, you know?
Yes. Okay. Well, you must not have heard about the miniature T-Rexes out of Texas. They have miniature T-Rexes have been reported in Texas, Barry, down in South Texas, maybe around Austin. I don't even know. It's somewhere in like mid South Texas, I think. I talked about them on a show a while back.
No, I've not heard of that.
Yeah.
Hey, is anywhere near Paris, Texas?
Maybe. I don't know. I'll have to look it up.
You know all those things on MK Davis's with the mirrors in the back and all the stuff, the habitations. That was from Paris, Texas. All that stuff. And Tom had told me the people that held that habitation. He said, well, they quit doing it because people found out what they were doing, and they started getting hoaxed by other Bigfoot researchers trying to mess up what they were doing.
That's why that's why I don't give my locations away where we're going. Okay, like where my team researches, because of that. People are diabolical, Barry. Okay.
Yes.
They really are. I did want to mention. I forgot to mention this at the beginning of the show. I'm going to be speaking with MK at this East Alabama Bigfoot Town Hall in January. So me and Tyler Howell, MK Davis, Stacy Brown, Dale Boswell, and Flat Rock. One of my favorite people, man. I love me some Flat Rock.
Really envious, man. I'm really envious this time. I would love to meet two people, MK Davis and Ron Moorhead. I'd love to meet those
Ron. Oh yeah. I got to see Ron at the Georgia Bigfoot conference this past year. He's amazing. Cool people, great researchers, great humans, and
is he like the last one? Al Berry, all them gone? He's like the last one, isn't he?
I guess so. Maybe I think so. Yeah, he's still out there though. Ron is very active. He's very active. I was impressed. I was glad that he came out. Actually, Daryl Denton brought him down. Went by and picked him up and brought him down. Daryl with Bigfoot believers and other creatures, I think. By the way, Barry, oh my gosh, y'all, I don't even know how this happened, but somehow I got nominated for like this Bigfoot researcher calendar thing. And I got voted to be like one of the people to be on their calendar for his little group. So thank y'all. If any of y'all voted, I appreciate it. Now I got to find a picture that looks decent. Put in there.
I give a shout out to Riley. Oh gosh, Ron Ivy.
Yeah.
He gave the information. The site was my pronunciation.
Here, let me look it up.
Biloxi River near Glen Rose. I saw Glen Rose and I stopped and went back. He's right. That's where it is. And they called it what? Yeah, what do they call the actual site, Ron O'Reilly? They call it something, but yeah, exactly. Biloxi River by Glen Rose. That's exactly what I was talking about. Thank you. I couldn't place it. See, you got a killer crew, man. They know not much I can say. They wouldn't be able to say exactly what it is. And pronounce it better than me. Yeah.
No, this crew is sharp, including Mr. Daryl Neese, who just joined the chat. What's up, Daryl? Daryl is part of my teams, and thank you for being here. He knows MK. Daryl, hopefully you'll come down and see me and MK down in Alabama in January.
How come nobody talks about Tom Powell? Man, that's the greatest cat. He's so cool. He changed my life, and he doesn't get the other props he should get. He got hoaxed.
I never met him.
I hope one day, I've tried to almost manifest it, that someday you'll just run into Tom Powell, and you can tell him, I know the B-dub, and he'll be like, who? That weird brother from the city? Nervous
Barry,
guy? Paranoid guy?
Right. Barry, you know that if I ever meet Tom Powell, the first name that's coming out of my mouth is Barry Littleton. I'm like, oh, my friend Barry talks about you all the time. Since the day I met him, he has brought your name up, Mr. Tom Powell. I feel like I know him already.
He's just, since my phone burned out 3 phones ago, I don't have his number anymore. Every now and again, he had called me just once or twice. You know what I mean? If he ever contacts me again, I'll ask him. He should be on your show, man. I mean, seriously. I mean, people laugh at him but he was one of those first people I had talked to and heard that really went, what is it these people call it now? Woo, woo. He went woo, woo. But I mean, the stuff he was saying in terms of what I thought I knew about Sasquatch was so much additive. He's looking at me saying, you should write a book on Sasquatch. I'm like, Tom, I haven't even seen one, but they've affected my life. He goes, he keeps looking at me, he goes, I don't think that matters. He goes, you seem to know about as much of them as almost anyone I've met. I'm like, what are you talking about, man? I was tripped out on this guy. And then they're yelling over there by his cabin and stuff. And I see him, this is 3 o'clock in the morning. I go to, he's looking at the UFOs. I say, hey, man, what do you, he pulls this thing off. He's got these he's listening to Duran Duran. It was so loud, Jessica. I was like, I said, man, do you hear these things screaming over here? And it sounds like it's coming from around your cabin or around your mobile over there. I just looked at him. I said, man, are these things following you? And he's such a, he's looking at me. Well, Barry has been said, Barry. More than once, Barry has been said.
Oh my God.
That was a trip. I was freaking out up there in the mountains. I can't tell you enough. And when they say that wolves don't howl during a full moon, that's a lie. I heard it twice. Yes, they do. Packs of them. It was a full moon. It can't be a coincidence. And it wasn't a werewolf in London thing.
Yeah.
I'm not like you. I haven't been out there like you have. I'd be blown away.
Yeah, we hear a lot of coyotes and stuff out there when we're in the field. From a distance, they can get really loud too. They sound like women screaming sometimes. Ron says Paluxy River is called the dinosaur capital of Texas.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Really?
That's awesome. Daryl, I'll see you. Daryl will be at the Molina Bigfoot Fest. So if you guys want to come out and meet some of my teammates too, they're all going to be at that.
Is he somebody that meet him?
You have not met Daryl yet. No, Daryl's been on the show. He's been on my show before. It's been a while. Daryl, you need to come back soon. But yeah, he'll be there on Saturday, and I can't wait. There's going to be a lot of our teammates out there.
Who's the guy that gave me the CD, Jessica, that I've never been able to watch yet? It's a CD with a bunch of evidence on it.
Probably Keith. It's probably Keith. You met Keith and Matt Delph. Those are the two you met.
I can never forget Matt. I like Matt. Matt's unforgettable character. I mean, even his presentation alone, I would never forget him, let alone the blow-away video that we saw on the side over there. I mean, that's something I thought about that entire trip. And after that was a trip. I mean, it's just one of those things when you see it, you know, it's not a CGI. It's not an AI. That is what it is. Mm-hmm. Anybody that's seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It really is. It's the only word I can use is flabbergasting. It's flabbergasting. Yeah.
If you guys want to see that video, I'm sure I'm positive if Matt's got his cell phone, he's gonna have the video there at the event. So y'all come down and come see it. And yeah, everybody needs to see that video. They do. And I'd like for him to come on the show sometime and show it. I'm totally down for that.
David Pauletti's was on Coast to Coast AM not too long ago talking about the Bigfoot DNA. He didn't go too much in it, but he mentioned it a few times. And you know, I kind of thought that was interesting. You know, something else about David Pauletti's I found very interesting. He obtained all of Ray Crow's research. Do you remember Ray Crow?
No.
When I first started finding out about Bigfoot, this is years before I came forward in 2014. There was a gentleman named Ray Crow, and he ran out of like Oregon, Washington. It was like the Bigfoot Chronicles. It was something like that. But he ran this newspaper or magazine. And Ray had all this stuff amassed, all this research. And he was the first one. That's really how I kind of hit it off with Matt. When we went in the set and was listening to his deal, his presentation. At the end, he took the questions. And he's one of the first people I'd heard him ever say, one of the few people outside of Ray Crow talking about Sasquatch taking not just pigs, but horses and smashing them against trees and then hanging them up in the trees and stuff like that. And when Ray Crow would talk about that, man, Jessica, people got pissed. They get as pissed at him as they get at me when I talked about witch knots. That wasn't even my information. I got tortured for that. That wasn't my thing, man. That's what other people were saying. But anyway, Ray got really mad about Ray Crow about that. But when Matt was doing his presentation and I asked, he had some things confirming things like that. The smashing things to trees like that and hanging heads and cows and these huge things that people get mad because they're supposed to be our forest brothers. The same people got mad at me. Barry, how could you ever say they could possibly make those witch knots or do that to a horse? They're our forest brothers. I'm like, you don't know anything about them. Not really.
Well, here's the thing about Bigfoots, okay? They're going to be like humans. There are humans that are going to be very nice and want to help you and be loving and generous. And then there's other ones that are going to be pissed off that want to bite your head off and might eat you. Okay? And so there's a wide range. Like it's not all like cookie cutter. All Bigfoots are one way. Okay, they're not. They're just like humans. They all have different personalities. Some of them, they're on different frequencies and vibes. Some of them are just out looking for food all the time. Others of them are highly telepathic and very advanced. Okay, kind of like humans. Just saying.
You know,
You can't box them in.
What's the lady? She does Bigfoot case files and also Bigfoot project, I believe. On one of those, they have this deal. This person that says, it was a female that said that this Sasquatch came up and sat with them, just sat down, and it was a huge one, an elder, and they were just communicating. I'm sorry, that account is as good as the brothers saying that he was at the crib. Okay, it's as good as that. But sorry, I can't help it. But she said that during this, Sasquatch was relaying all this thing, saying it was nearing the end of its life, and certain things need to be revealed at this time. But then it told her something. It said, be very aware of my kind, though. Not all of us are peaceful. And you especially be aware of the ones with the glowing eyes, with the red eyes. They are not good. And they will kill. That's on one of those. There's so many that I really give that woman credit that does the Bigfoot project and the Bigfoot case files. I think it's her and her daughter, maybe. They've done so many of those. Some people get on and start tearing them down on some of them, but they're just relaying other people's experiences. I think do a really good job. They put them out like almost every other day. You know?
No. Yeah. Prophet Prey, Bandit Fury. So some Bigfoots are vegan then. You think maybe they like berries?
Not this kind of berry. No berries. Berries. No, just kidding.
Not that kind of berry.
I think obviously that they're kind of, maybe possibly omnivore, just like us, most people. And I had my friend. I had a mentor when I was younger, Dr. William Eckert, and where I lived, he was the head city pathologist for years. In fact, he was one of those 5 pathologists that got flown to England around 1989, 1990 to do that thing that was to reveal who Jack the Ripper was. They flew in those pathologists. They had the 1-800 number you could call in and try to vote who you think it was. And he was one of them. In fact, when he came back from that, he showed me some of the real pictures they had of the slayings. He was a trip. Really, really cool cat. Anyway, so some people just influence your life and you don't know why. Anyway, he had told me as a pathologist that one thing he had always noticed, he had a problem dealing with the smell of people that ate meat during autopsy. They had between, what he said, 5 and 15 pounds of undigested red meat in their large intestine. And it was a smell that he still couldn't hardly deal with. He said, but whenever I deal with a vegetarian, I know you cut them open, there's no smell, there's nothing in their intestine. He kept looking at me and he had the New York accent. Barry, that impresses me that really human are herbivore and possibly slightly omnivore, but more herbivore, not carnivore. Just things like that to stick in your mind. You know what I mean? Sorry, I failed. I'd be tearing up some steak. I failed.
Oh my God. I mean, I like a variety. I like some steak with some sides of vegetables. I could eat a vegetable plate all day. I love vegetables. Okay, but I also like meat too. So I don't know.
I'm Brussels sprouts and lima beans? Do you like that? I don't like
as long as they have bacon in them. Yeah, just kidding. Yeah. I do. I eat everything. I mean, I've gone through periods of my life where I did try to eat more vegetables, like vegetarian type diet. But I mean, I've never tried to go vegan, not once. I can't. I love my creamer, my half and half, and my cream and my butter and all that kind of stuff too. So yeah.
Hey, Riley, Ron, have a good night. Thank you for the information, and thank you for giving the information.
Have a good night. Yeah, we've had so much great information with this chat. I'm still behind in the comments.
Girl on the gong. I don't like beans either. I'm with you.
Beans.
I like cabbage. I can't eat cabbage, man. Everybody would get out of the house just like that.
Oh my gosh!
Wow, what a great chat. How cool is that? I mean, still flying by too.
Beans.
Cryptidville, thank you.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Rattlesnake. Never had rattlesnake. I don't know. I've only had snake once, and it was kind of greasy. You know what I mean? I'm not a friend of frog legs either. They're a little fat. Didn't like that very much.
Ooh, full disclosure, I have had frog legs. Okay. And, this is really weird because I went to our friend's house. Okay. When I worked for the state, like I was always going to nice dinner parties and stuff. And, this lady who I was really good friends with, she was like a philanthropist and stuff, and very well-to-do lady, let's just say. And she invited us over for lunch and like to eat lunch at her house, at her high rise, wherever she lived, or actually it was at her house. So it wasn't a high rise. It was at her house. And we got there and I didn't know what to expect. I was there to have fun. She's an artist and she was showing me all these artifacts from all of her world travels and stuff. And the food came out. She brought the food out that she was going to feed us. And it was a table full of frog legs. And I was like, it was so like, I was so just thrown off by it. And I was actually really excited too, because I'd never had frog legs before. Uh-huh. And you're looking at a girl who used to eat chitlins and stuff. Okay. Like fried pig intestines. So I'll eat anything. I'm a country girl. I'll eat whatever. Right. But I tried it and
you're the first Caucasian that's ever told me that. That's interesting.
Really?
Yes.
I'm a country girl. My dad used to bring them home and like put them on a paper bag, like a grocery bag. So the grease would like get off of them and I dip them in ketchup and I ate them. And it was fine. I thought they were French fries. I didn't know better. Okay. So
that's great.
I know I eat everything. I really do. But I did not like those frog legs at all. And it's not because she didn't cook them good or well or whatever. It's because they tasted like fishy chicken. So maybe with a good sauce, they would have tasted
a little sticky, like, It
was fishy chicken. That's what it was. It was kind of gross. I don't know. I appreciated the thoughtfulness of her making those for us. But at the same time, I was like, well, it was
got a lot of fat on them. A lot of fat. I don't like that.
I didn't have any fat. Mine must have been working out. They were doing squats because they didn't have any fat.
There was a frog. Yeah. Everybody loves a Michigan rag. Anyway, I'll tell you. Oh wow! Certain things like alligator. That stuff was too tough. I don't care for alligator bites. And some things, yeah.
I love alligator. I like alligator bites.
I love seafood, but I don't like octopus. It's too chewy, even more than squid. Don't like octopi.
I love it. I'll eat that all day. Calamari too.
Calamari's all right, as long as you get real calamari. Yeah. I have some issues with that, but yeah, that is.
Oh yeah.
That's very, very interesting.
It is.
That's one thing. And one thing, if you want to really get to know another culture, another race of people, or another culture of people, go share food with them. That's the main way to get in and start to learn people. Big time.
Exactly. And I love to cook. That's my thing. I haven't been cooking a lot lately. Okay. But historically.
Well, you cook, huh? You look like a type. Really?
Yeah, I can cook. I can cook. This is funny because I say chitlins. That's what we call them. Okay. Daryl's from here too. He's from the South. He wrote it. He actually spelled it out right. It's chitterlings.
Yes.
It's so funny because that is not like how you say it. You say chitlins. Okay. So, and it is kind of gross. Like you can't go to all the grocery stores here down here. I don't know if you have them at like where you live, Barry, but you can get like a bucket of chitlins at any grocery store, like in the frozen section where the meats are. And usually they have a big old bucket of them.
So, where I live, actually, they're kind of hard to get. They're not that easy to get here. Yeah, I guess not. A lot of things are different down there in the South, huh? Cobb County. Yeah. Boss man.
Well, that's what Long Island Bigfoot always makes jokes about my tater logs and chicken fingers down here. So, yes, we
just for the record, for some fun for people, since there's probably not many people listen at this point. I just want to say that Jessica's family friend, the boss man, dogged out my youthful friend that I met my youth, Paul White, the Big Show. I watched
We're
it the
talking
other
wrestling
day.
now.
He dragged the guy's dad's coffin all across the thing, and he was yelling in his Cobb County. I'm just teasing you. It's kind of
Oh,
cool
man.
though, that we have that small connection though. You know,
Yeah.
Paul White was actually a really nice cat, and when I met him, he was nowhere. He was at that height, but he wasn't as heavy as he is now by any stretch. But he's really a nice cat. You know.
Yeah. Have you ever had boudin? Boudin. You ever had? It's a sausage. Is it like a blood sausage? I can't remember. I've had it before, but I don't. I think it's blood sausage, but I'm not sure. It's got a lot of weird organ meat in it, right? It's something out of like New Orleans.
Cryptidville, you got me on that one, man.
It's boudin, right?
Okay,
marinated piranha. Man, this conversation has gone from a demonic doll. Okay,
is escargot? Isn't that like the caviar that's real salty? Isn't that what escargot is?
No, that escargot are snails actually. I love caviar. Oh, I got expensive taste, man. I love me some good caviar with some cream cheese.
You like the salty ones or the other ones that taste a little different? Yeah.
I like the salty ones for sure. Yeah. I love caviar. And escargot is not bad as long as you don't think about what you're eating. Okay. So you just have to it's all in your head, y'all. It's all in your head. And if you're hungry, you're going to eat anything. Take it from a person who's had to learn survivalist skills. Okay. And if you're hungry out there.
What was piranha like? What did that taste like?
Fish. But with teeth.
Oh, sorry. I was looking at that's funny. I was going to say, what kind of, what was it tough? Was it like, did it taste like crappie? Did it taste like catfish? What the hell did piranha taste like? I've never heard anybody say they ate one of those. That's very fascinating.
It probably tastes like tilapia or something, I would think.
Tilapia's not bad.
Yeah. Mountain oysters.
Yes. No. I had a way of passage. Had to eat some mountain oysters, but I tell you, my mother prepared those. She was mad as hell, man. She did not like preparing them. We ate them, and I gotta tell you, I couldn't get over it psychologically, my friend. I could not. I mean, I ate one of them, but I just could not get over it. They're supposed to be balls, and they look like ball. Well, oysters, they're supposed to be ball oysters. That's what they look like to me, and I could never get that out of my head that I'm eating balls. Just couldn't do it.
Oh my gosh. Oh man.
But I like sushi. Unagi, albacore. It's when I was messing with this. When I was messing with this stupid device over here, this hyperdimensional resonator that does not do time travel, but it does something with the time field. It's my unagi that had disappeared. I had 3 orders of unagi, so that's like 6 pizzas, man. It's pretty expensive. And I put them in the refrigerator. I used this thing. I was doing some different things with it normally, and I was like, man, screw this thing. I'm not gone anywhere. Just messing with the time field. So I went to go get my sushi, and it's gone. And I was by myself. I certainly did not eat it before. So that's the one time this thing kind of interacted with the time field that gave me a tangible result that I cannot explain. But otherwise than that, it's just the crystal and the caduceus coil in here. That's a copper coil that's wrapped around. If you go to my channel, check out the time travel playlist. Look at the first 2 videos. The second one, I take this thing apart and show everything in it. Anyway, so sorry for people were. I did that live feed. I appreciate you being there, and I went way crazy. My lips were all chapped after that. I was all dehydrated because I was gone for 3 hours, man. And actually 4 hours because the first hour nobody could hear a damn thing I was saying. And much love to all of you that just stayed on there for an hour while I was going like this.
I was there. The chat was lit, though. The chat was lit. We had a good time. We were trying to get your attention. There's no audio.
And I said that before that. Nobody could hear it, though. I was saying, I'm not going to look at the chat because I've got to just get through all this information so then I can look at the chat. But nobody heard me say that.
It was great.
Thank you for that because I was pretty stressed out and depressed after that. I was like, I'm never doing live again. You're like, man, you should go back on right now. I was like, no way. Yeah. But you taught me into it. So thank you for that.
I did. Hey, I'm here to help any way I can, and to encourage you to keep doing that because it's important. I think that you're doing a great job, and
Well, thank
you have
you.
a lot. You have a lot to teach the world, for
You
sure.
know, most of the people in the chat, they know more than me, but it just looks cool because it's the internet for me. But most people probably know more than me, so I appreciate anybody that even takes time to listen to me. It's really cool.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I
Oh my
love
goodness.
salmon. I love trout. I saw that pastor. I love salmon. I love trout. You know, I also really like orange roughy, but you can't find it very much anymore.
I eat everything and anything, so there's not a whole lot of stuff I don't like. I don't like frog legs so much, but
No,
Michelle
no.
T, thank you so much for that super sticker. That's very sweet of you. I
You know,
appreciate
I
that.
didn't like chocolate
Thank
covered
you.
bees or the chocolate covered crickets. I couldn't do that either. Didn't like it.
God.
Yeah, no good. You know,
Oh,
there was a movie that I like. Since I know you never could hang with me on my movies, it's another one of those '80s movies. It's called Of Unknown Origin, starring the guy that is it William Hurt, RoboCop? What's his name? Is that William Hurt or
stinky.
let's say RoboCop? Anyway, that movie was his '80s, but he was an architect in New York, and he had this huge rat that was in his condominium. And this thing, put it to you like this, he actually wound up catching in the trap some of its babies. And so it took his cat and hung it over his it hung his cat. It was bigger than his cat. It hung his cat over the refrigerator. And so he's tripped out in a war with this cat. And he's at a dinner with his big architect friends, and he's sitting there, they're eating chicken. He's sitting there, he starts to going on. They said, "What's on your mind?" He said, "Well, you know, rats are a real problem. And the Philippines, they have to eat them as a delicacy. And they
Ew.
say it tastes like stringy chicken." And people's out there cutting their chicken and looking at me like, man.
Oh, gross. I know. There's too many videos on social media right now of people that are eating questionable meat from fast food places. So I would prefer to eat at home from here on out. Okay, just cook your own food. I cooked some food tonight. As a matter of fact, I need to go eat me some dinner tonight. So and I got to get ready for my presentations. I have 2 presentations the next 2 days at the festival and at the library. So I figured maybe we could wrap it up so I can go do my mom duties and get ready for my stuff tomorrow. But this has been fantastic, Barry. Thank you so much for giving me that target and for being here tonight. It's awesome. It's awesome. And you know, something that could have turned out to be so dark, it ended up being a pretty fun show.
Oh, it was great. You know, all the shows we've done have been really fun, except for maybe Green Eyes. All the other ones were cool though.
I like that
No,
one.
that was a rough one. Green Eyes was a rough target, man.
I enjoy, yeah, Green Eyes was rough, but I still enjoyed that one too. And I've had Greg Smith came on the show, who is a researcher who is born in and lives in Chickamauga, where that is. He hunts, he goes and does research with Old Green Eyes. So that was a whole cool
Has he
angle
seen it?
when I brought him on.
Has he
Yeah,
seen it?
he has some interesting stories. Yeah, you have to watch that show that we did together. He's a cool
Did
dude.
he was a type 3, type 4, type.
He doesn't know what it is. He's a Bigfoot researcher, though. I think it's more than likely some type of a Bigfoot, probably. I think it's a Gugway, personally.
I agree.
Yeah, I think so. But I don't know. I did remote view it, so I think it's probably a Gugway. But people literally that's the cool lore behind it is nobody knows what it is. Nobody. So we don't know for positive. But yeah. So, well, Barry, tell everybody where they can find you on your channel and your Patreon, how they can support you.
Probably after this one, HE double hockey sticks. No, I'm just kidding. I know we're in targets like this. You can reach me actually on YouTube under Barry Littleton, on Facebook under Barry Littleton, Instagram Barry Littleton. My website's barrylittleton.com, which means nothing really. I need to work on that. My email is barrylittleton13@gmail.com. Anybody wants to book a session, hypnosis or readings or whatever the case might be. Much appreciate to everybody. A lot of you people in your audience have reached out to me. Many have subscribed, and it really means the world to me, because I was going to go forward with this, and you're a main person that I'm still even doing this, Jessica. So thank you, and thank everybody in your chat, all your audience. Much love.
Thank you, Barry. Yes, and thank you, Marian. I will. We're going to have some fun this weekend at the Bigfoot Festival. It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay. Barry Littleton13@gmail.com. You guys reach out to him for all of your hypnotic regression needs and stuff. Okay. Holler at Barry. Barry, you have a few people in the chat even tonight that have used your services and love them. Okay. And say nothing but good things about it.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I thank them for taking the chance on me, because the truth is, I may have been full of BS and can't do nothing. You can't help nobody. So thank you for taking a risk.
Heck yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys, everybody, for being here tonight. And I want to thank everybody who gave super stickers this evening. And also, let's see, we got Michelle and we've got, let's see, Kent. I'm sorry, I'm having to hit these again. And we have a new member of the channel, Firewater by Design. Thank you so much for becoming a member tonight. That means the world to me. And now you have access to exclusive content that I put out at least once a week. And yeah, so thank you for being here. I want to thank all of my channel members. All the channel members have a little picture beside their name and a little, I don't know, some kind of little symbol or something. So I can't see from my end. But I want to thank everybody for all your support on my Patreon members. You guys are the best. Okay. And yeah, you guys do not go unnoticed. I love each and every one of y'all. And I hope you'll come back and see me on Saturday night. I will be back here. We're going to go on the hunt. I haven't locked down my guests yet, but I've got a couple people that I have put the feelers out for this weekend. It's going to be a great show. It always is, right, Barry? I always have a good time over here.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You do a great job. I mean, you do a great job. So many people you have on, so many different topics, and I think you deserve to blow up as big as anyone I've ever met. So you do a great job. And it's a lot of work, too. It's not easy.
Well, thank you.
Fun or not.
Oh my gosh. Well, you are a big part of that and a big part of this channel. And I'm glad that we're friends. Okay. And we do some good work together, Barry. And it's a lot of fun. Heck yeah. All right. Well, I hope you go live this weekend. If you go live, you better let me know. Okay. Since I'm your lonely moderator over there. I love it.
Thank you for that. I like to say, I can't believe anybody actually watches. And let alone it goes that long. Next time I'll have a timer though. I'm going 1 hour. I would go bring.
Yeah. No, you know go. It's your channel. You go as long as you want. Okay, you go as long as you want. Everybody enjoys it, and you still had people there the entire show. Okay, so yeah, so that's what counts. All right. Well, everybody have a wonderful night. Again, y'all come see me this weekend. If you're in the Molina area, I know it's in the middle of South Georgia. Daryl's going to be there. Daryl Neese is in the chat. Oops, wait, wrong flyer. Come to that one too. Okay, this is tomorrow night. I will be on the Trail of Bigfoot in Georgia at the library down in Zebulon, Georgia. And then on Saturday, we've got the festival. Y'all come see us. Okay, I hope to meet y'all there. I'll try to throw some stickers in my pocket or something. Y'all come see me. I'll give you a sticker. Just tell me you watch my shows, okay? And I will see y'all there. All right, Barry. Y'all, everybody have a wonderful night. Y'all stay safe out there. Keep your head on a swivel. And things are only looking up, y'all. This is a beautiful time to be alive. And thank y'all for joining us tonight. All right, Barry. I'll see you soon. Bye, y'all.